Doctor Who? You've got this really cool looking, kind of like a royal blue, I guess. It's called Deep Space, so it's perfect for the Tardis door that we're going to be doing. Gonna put a base coat down and cover the whole thing. Now we let it dry. In AutoCAD, I drew up the size of the door. This is a 24 by 80 door. So I'm going to take these dimensions and I'm going to draw them out with pencil. Okay, let's start taping it off. So right now I have taped off a lot of stuff. It's probably pretty hard to see what I'm doing right now, but I've isolated the panels and I've also isolated the shadow in the panels. So that's what I'm going to paint right now, is the shadows. I'm using the same blue as the background and I'm adding some blue, black paint to it. Don't want to overdo it with the paint because it could bleed underneath the tape, even though this is some kind of edge lock 3M safe release paint. It doesn't stick that well. I guess that's kind of the point. So I'm just lightly brushing it on. I'm not overdoing it. I'm almost like dry brushing, sort of. I don't want to glob it on. Alright, painted the shadows in. Now I'm going to do the highlights. So it's the opposite two sides. I mixed the same blue as the base with white now. So now we're just going to go in and lightly brush it in. While the blue is drying, I'm going to go ahead and paint the windows white. I'm just using regular interior house paint if anyone's interested. While this is a little wet still, I'm going to go in with the light blue and kind of very lightly brush in like a reflection.
She turned to me and she said it. She said, "It's over."
Alright, now I'm going to paint the black on the top where it's going to say police box. So just going to put some black paint here.
I am in the worst mood ever now because I finished my video and I started doing really well, and it said this: cannot take photos. There's not enough storage.
That really sucks. It really does. But you know what?
I don't want to do it.
Yeah, you might want to take a day to think. It's getting there. You can kind of see what I'm doing. I've got the shadows painted in, the highlights painted in. It gives it that recessed panel door look. I've got the windows up here, so it looks like glass. Got the black band up there. It's kind of hard to see. There's a center piece of tape that I left, and in the actual doors there's a center piece of wood, so I need to put some shadows in on either side here, and that's really going to make that piece of wood pop out and recess the rest of the door. So the bulk of the work is done. Now it's all details. Okay, now I've got the panels taped off, and I'm going to do some shading on the inside of the panels. We're going to make a wash. We're going to take some of the black and a lot of water. It's better to go lighter with this and make lighter coats first than to make super dark coats and try to lighten it up later. So we're going to take our wash. So just take this and repeat it on all 6 panels. Yeah, that came out pretty good. Pretty good. It's just supposed to be real subtle. I went in with the same blue as the door, mixed some white and some water so it's super, super thin. And I almost did a dry brush, if you can see the little details in here, just to give it a little bit more character. So you've got your lows and your highs and your mids, if that makes any kind of sense. Now, the better part of it is done. We need to add the door decal and then the police at the top. It's hard to see in this light, but I have traced out the words police box, and so I'm just going to paint these white so that they show up. And one thing that I found that helps, if you find a brush that's similar to the width of the letters that you're doing, it really helps get a nice uniform shape. And even though I did trace out the lines, it just helps out. That's the first coat of white for the letters. I was a little loose with it. On the second coat, I'll really go in there and pay attention to the outline and get it nice and clean. Right now, I just kind of blocked it out. So we're going to let that dry real quick, and we're going to come back in with the second coat. Hopefully 2 will do it. So I went ahead and put 2 coats of white for the letters. I was going to do another coat, and then I was thinking, well, the door looks kind of weathered, so I would kind of like the letters to match. So they're kind of weathered looking too. So let's take the tape off and see if I need to do some touch-ups. All right, I like it. That'll work. Here is the finished door. It kind of looks like a break down door. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. I've got the windows, got the police box up here. When I install it, I'm going to have to put some hinges and a doorknob, so that'll take a little bit away from it. But overall, I'm super stoked on it. I did print out the decal that goes here, but I don't know, it kind of took away from the overall, I don't know, aesthetic of the door. So I kind of like it symmetrical. I think it looks super cool, and hopefully the person whose bedroom it's going into will like it too.